doctor appointment.
Okay, well, I feel like I need to tell you, I just hit the go button, so we're online. This is the San Carlos Computer Club, starting just at the last second. We got Cheryl and Bill and Fred and Dad, Terry Stimson on our online virtual meeting, which I'm sorry, guys, because we still don't have a monitor here. I'm the only one that gets to see you, and if people want to hear you, I got to turn my speakers way up. This hopefully will change next season when I come back from Alaska. Hopefully we'll have a better. That's right. I'm going to bring a couple of speakers. No, I don't know what I'm going to do. Right? Maybe that I should roll in a party speaker over there in the corner and Bluetooth to it, and then everybody will be coming from that side of it. Anyway, welcome. This is the San Carlos Computer Club. I'm Scott Stimson from International Computer Solution. Jim is waving, but I don't have the. There you go. You can wave now, Jim. Hey. My framing has too much window. Not enough table. There we go. Dun, dun, dun. And TJ's over here behind my right shoulder as well, but he's not in frame. He does have his own microphone, so you'll be able to hear him sipping iced tea. Well, thank you guys for being here with me. I've sent out a document, which this is of not. That's the wrong one, because today is our 29th meeting, whether it be virtual or in person. It's always it's our 29th virtual meeting of this season. And like I was telling Cheryl earlier, we're switching to pure virtual meetings after the 19th, and the 19th we will not have a meeting. In fact, maybe I should add that to the document. The 19th, there is no meeting.
Do you know what season it is?
What season what?
How many seasons have we got in?
Oh my God, I have no idea. Well, since we started recording this, I've got recordings that go back to before 2009. So I really don't have any idea. Because we've been doing computer club meetings since JC's Cafe provided internet to all of San Carlos as the only dial-in connection. That's like 2001. So that would mean we have 25 seasons, I think, at least.
The first
check your spelling.
What's
the
that?
first I remember was the computer breakfast.
Chester, I'm sorry, you're really quiet. I don't know if anybody else is out there. I just can't hear what you're saying.
I'm sorry, say again.
Yeah, well, I guess you're having the same problem with me. It's just you're so quiet. Can you speak up? I'm having trouble hearing what you're saying.
I remember the Internet Club being the first.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I think we were always the computer club. Well, in typical fashion, I sent out a document. Here's the right one for our 29th meeting of this year. You know, I started keeping track. You know what I do know is I know the virtual meeting number. We're at 303 meetings online. And I know that number because we started doing that the week that everything shut down for COVID. That's when that started.
Check your spelling.
Which one? What's spelled wrong? What have I spelled wrong? Something needs to put a red line under something in this document.
The one you just added.
There. Oh, there we go. There is no there. I got you. See, this is the illusion of multitasking is actually falling apart. There is this is the, on, what am I trying to say here? On the 19th? On the 19th? On the 19th, there
Will be.
there is no meeting. On the 19th, there is no meeting. See, I can't type and think at the same time.
Spit out the gum.
Right. I was hoping Richard would be with us. That's why I put this copy fail Linux vulnerability here. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to that, but that's a fairly big deal that's happened. They're just astronomical versions of Linux that are subject to this particular vulnerability. I don't have anything but general sensationalized descriptions of it. No technical descriptions. But one of the things that is very interesting about it is that it can escalate privileges, which is what you're hoping to do. You're hoping to get into a system. You have a user execute something that allows someone to have access, or a program to have access at their level. And what they do at their level is get higher access to the system. This is standard security escalation. That's what it's called. Is you're going upstairs. You're getting a foundation at one security level, and you're looking for a way, maybe using another vulnerability to get security level at the next level, and you go up until you've compromised the entire system. In this case, this at a very basic user level can escalate all the way up to compromising the entire system. What is uniquely interesting is that it can jump outside of virtual machines. So you can be running what you think is a secure. This is actually a very interesting topic to combine with AI right at this moment, because this security vulnerability allows escalation up and out of what's considered a secure sandbox, an isolated software machine where you're running something with the intention that it has no inkling of the system it's running within. If you just very quickly, virtual machines, or in Linux, there's boxes or bottles, these systems that allow you to build a software computer. And in that software computer, you run software. So instead of having a website running on your computer runs a virtual software computer, and that website runs inside that virtual software computer. It has no idea that it's emulating a computer. It has, all it thinks is it's got memory and a processor and storage capacity, and all that's being fed to the software by the computer. The computer is feeding it all these sensory things so that it thinks that it has all that available to it. And one of the reasons that we do this is because that is considered secure. It's the terminology is sandboxed. It's over there. It doesn't have connections to the thing that's running it. So it can run isolated, and that's considered more secure. And this copy fail vulnerability that's getting so much attention right now in the Linux world is it's able to hop out of that sandbox, which we haven't had a vulnerability like that before. So in some ways, to be compromised, that is still fairly difficult. Somebody has to have local access to the computer. So that means that somebody that runs a Linux computer that has certain permissions has to have run something compromisable so that that can be allowed running in their computer to do this. What's interesting, though, is it doesn't have to happen in the local computer. It could happen in a supposed virtual secure environment and hop into the local computer. So that what's that?
It got smarter.
Yeah, it got very smart. And it's kind of interesting to think about that at the same time we're dealing with things like Anthropic has an AI that just recently got outside of it. It's just hopped out of its virtual environment. It was the task. I mean, that's been getting headlines. But when you dig into the details of that, it was the task given to the AI to find a way to compromise its virtual environment and escape out. It was given descriptions of how it could inform its runner, the person that's running it. Runner is not the correct terminology. That's my terminology for lack of having the correct terminology in front of me. But whoever it was that was running the AI gave it the instructions, gave it the description, and gave it the way that it could communicate with him through email if it were to have successfully accomplished its task. And it did. It was able to find a way to liberate itself from the environment it was in and inform the person running this task that it had done so through email. So that is all very impressive stuff, but the headlines are much more impressive. They're very sensationalized. I mean, it is. Maybe it's equivalent. Maybe when we get these sensationalized headlines about what technology is doing, it's appropriate because the level of complexity that's being produced is so very impressive for just normal people. Maybe you need sensationalized headlines for them to be impressed with it as well. That being said, we're living in a world where vulnerabilities are being found by AIs, they're being tried out by AIs, and we at the same time, these vulnerabilities have never been more concerning. This one with Linux is just a few steps away. Well, basically, it was all the Linux distributions. There's a list out there. There's a list out there that will show you what kernel level you should be at. Jim is giving me straight look. It's like, what kernels should I be at to not be vulnerable? And apparently you cannot not be vulnerable without going through the most recent updates. And then there's some like the Zorin distribution I haven't found any list where it's said it's vulnerable. And so there are very specific kernel patches.
Ask AI.
That's where I got the list.
And now AI's going, oh, I missed that one. Next week.
Right? But there are just patches all over the place that are going on right now in the Linux world. And it is not as concerning a vulnerability. It's concerning in the intelligence that it shows that, but as far as getting infected, it isn't any more concerning than any Windows vulnerability that we've seen in the past. If anything, it's fairly minor compared to the kinds of Windows vulnerabilities that we've had to be concerned with. And
putting hackers out of work.
AI is putting programmers and hackers out of work. Actually, both programmers are becoming system designers and hackers are becoming these AI wranglers. It's
Remember, because when you got caught before, what'd you do? You got employed by the government.
Yeah, I'm sure that's still happening. That's happening right now with people that just feel comfortable with AI. In fact, you know what I started doing this week, and I haven't finished, but this week will mark when I have installed an AI machine on my particular computer. I don't have a computer in my life that can run an AI locally except for my Macintosh, my Mac Mini. The M1, even though it will be considered very low class in the AI space, is able to run this latest local AI Gemma 4 from Google. And it's actually really interesting. So interesting doing local AI. One of my articles that I brought with me today is just news that Apple has stopped selling the lowest tier Mac Mini. I don't know if you guys pay any attention to that, but local AI is what's going to happen. And people are going to have so much trouble with privacy and the expense of AI. You know, Richard's been with us a number of times, and he's been ranting about the economics of AI. And quite honestly, I feel like all that aside, AI is not going away. They're going to make the economics happen. Even if it comes down, if this is my crazy conspiracy theory, but even if it comes down to government subsidies, in the end, that might be what it ends up being. They will print money to keep AI going. And so I don't see it as going away, but I see a lot of losers. I see people like you and me that might be invested in AI. If we're not careful, we could lose money in the stock market very quickly. I see a bubble popping at some point in the future. These are all my opinions on just what I've been watching, but I don't see the technology going away. And one of the ways that I see it progressing into the future is it will become localized, and there will be, just like 3D printers, there will be hobbyists that will have their AI, local AI computers. There will be the general public that will have as general access to the AI market as as capitalism allows. If you bought your Macintosh computer because it will take the red out of eyes and put smiles on people that forgot to smile, and that's what they've sold you, then that's how you're going to get that AI. That AI, it's going to offer you an operating system that will probably tailor your internet experience based on the kinds of things you search for and the things you do. That's how you're going to experience AI. And if you're a corporation that is using AI to refine things like TJ shared with us, finding drivers, and how.
Perfect example is last night. Second chance.
Okay. Well, let's get back to that in just a second. But the point being that when your business decides that it's better for your customers, the AI you use sits in your servers under your control versus buying it from uh, well, Apple won't be in there. Buying it from Google or buying it from Amazon or buying it from Microsoft, you'll make that cost benefits analysis at that point. And then there's this privacy security component that's always in these cloud services. Do you want their marketing to be influencing the decisions that are being made by your AI? Do you want your search for drivers to inadvertently pull up leaning or weighted results because Microsoft's AI also does businesses across the board, across the cloud, with all these other influential data points, which never used to be a consideration until now. Now you have to be concerned about that. Now when you use Microsoft's Azure to run GPT, you have to be concerned about the influences that their other business partners might affect the model that you're using. So security, privacy, and just the model. What's the best results you're going to get? And that's a cost analysis, the benefits analysis that any small to large business is going to have to do at some point. All of this includes local AI. The device that you buy from Apple is going to run a local AI to get the red out of the pictures and put smiles on your friends. The hobbyist is going to have one sitting on the shelf in their house. Maybe they've put it together so that it knows it well, and because they're a hobbyist, they know that their AI is secure and in their house under its controls without having to be influenced with a cloud AI. And those people will toss up performance versus cost. How much is it going to cost them to have as performative of the AI as they want? But I think that's really where we're going with this stuff. And there's a lot of people out there that feel like I do, and they have bought out the low-end Macintosh. The Mac Mini with the M4 processor, the $599 computer from Apple, it does not exist anymore. Apple has not replaced it. They've had it for a while. They've not replaced it with anything. They've just pulled it off the slates. And now their lowest end computer is $799. Their lowest end desktop performative computer is $799. It's a half a terabyte of space. It's 16 gigabytes of RAM. It is more than enough computer. And to give you a real idea of what more than enough computer is, I'm downloading AI models to run on my M1. This is an M4. So one of the complaints that Mac enthusiasts have had is that they did such a great job on their first iterations. There's nothing to incentivize you to buy these computers. Hobbyists are buying them. People that need new computers are buying them. But people that needed new computers 4 years ago still don't need new computers. And so what a
Their business model.
well, just like Microsoft, just like Google has always done, Apple does not rely on hardware sales. All their revenue comes from cloud services. And so they can make whatever they want. They can put out, they can do, well, and this is what's actually exciting. This has nothing to do with the topics that I brought, but you guys have been paying attention. That Tim Cook is stepping down in September. The CEO is transitioning over to this John Turner, I think, or John Tiercer. And John is their hardware guy. He is a lover, has a passion for hardware. And so this will be a real interesting switch because Tim Cook was always a supply chain. He was as much a hardware guy as John Scully was. You know, he came from Pepsi Cola. He was hired to be a CEO, not hired to be a Steve Jobs. Tim Cook was the same way. He was put.
Supply chain.
He was supply chain guy.
He was operations.
And well, visionary in a completely different sense. Not visionary like Steve Jobs. Not like this button feels bad.
Visionary
In how look at Apple is one of the first $1 trillion companies.
Right.
That's how visionary he was.
Well, that's shareholder value. But in regards to
The product,
being off the shelf product,
yeah,
there has just
there's nothing.
There's nothing new from Apple.
You're right.
It's boring.
In fact, even when they released the M1 line of computers, they used the same design footprint. They didn't try and change anything. They just changed the processor that was driving the machines, and that was more a safety move than an innovative move. They're like, we need to get back to people trusting these computers, and we can't do that by trying to make a bunch of changes at the same time.
When Jobs came back, you looked at the desktop.
No, quite literally a guy that hammered on a button 1,000 times going, this just doesn't feel right. You need to change this. There's no practical engineering sense in it other than the customer's not going to like it. So you gotta fix that. And Tim Cook was never that person. And they thought it was Johnny Ives. And Johnny Ives is the reason we had those shitty keyboards that went on for years. And Tim Cook, a good example of Tim Cook and Apple is that instead of fixing the keyboards, they fixed the warranty. Right? So they kept distributing the shitty keyboards, and they just extended the warranty in which they would fix the keyboards.
What's the difference between asking having the Mac project and
Yeah. I that's really interesting because I forget all that history of how Steve came in, saw the Macintosh, and made that the thing that he was coming back with. Yeah. I mean, Steve had a horrible. Well, yeah. That's neither here nor there. The point is that this new guy is a hardware guy. He's not, and he's a hardware guy from an engineering point of view. So he is in love with the equipment, and he already sees the capabilities of what's in front. So Johnny Ives would design outside of engineering. He would design outside of engineering. It's like the engineers need to figure out how to do this. And Tim Cook would just go with whatever the engineers could do because he had no vision of how these things should be in the future. health is probably his big thing. If you tied the iPhone to Steve Jobs, you'd tie health to Tim Cook. And that would be health services, not necessarily the watch, even though the watch has become such an impressive product throughout the years. But yeah, so that's what AI has done to our market. We have no memory, we have no CPUs, and Apple has pulled one of their cheapest computers off the market, not because they won't want to sell it, but because they just don't have the supply for it. It is gone. You know,
It's time to start a new computer company.
well, thank you for saying that, TJ, because one of the topics, the discussion topics that I wanted to bring up, not news topic, but discussion topics, that I ended up glazing over by accident, is the framework PC. And if we haven't talked about this in club before, they have just done a big release on the Framework Pro 13. And this is pitting itself up against the MacBook Pro. And so this is not, they've got some cheaper price computers. I spec'd one of these out for myself. It hit $1,900. $1,900 I don't have. Desperately want this computer. Desperately want this computer. And what I've linked to in our document is a presentation they put on that has been broken down into like a 15-minute presentation going over all their new product line, but specifically the Framework Pro. And if you don't remember us talking about the Framework in the past, this is a series of computers that has been built to be repaired. Their sole nature of this is upgradability and your ability to fix it yourself. They've created, it reminds me a lot of Roomba in that they have a whole secondary market where parts for these computers are bought and sold. The motherboards can be swapped out in just moments. They actually, in the product, they sell it with a screwdriver because that they're the do-it-yourself kind of atmosphere. What's that?
Here in San Carlos,
Well, what's that, TJ?
to be able to open up that type, because there are so many folks that want to upgrade, don't have easily upgradable.
Wait,
Here you are.
you need to look at these computers if you haven't. They're on like their third year. Before it was like a novelty thing, and people were just watching to see what happens. And kind of expensive. If they don't stay in business, you have this unique computer that you can't get parts for. Their expansion on the computers are all based in USB-C. So they sell you these chiclet ports that slide into the side of the laptop that are all USB-C. And you can carry it. So instead of having only USB-C like a Macintosh and having all these dongles, you have these adapters that slide into the laptop. So you set out your port selection, and they're also color coded too if you're into that. Like you could have your HDMI port green and your USB-C ports blue, and you can slide them in. The keyboard has been replaceable and extended. The trackpad is replaceable and extended, and you can do it in just a couple of moments with a screwdriver. Their big change, like I said, this is their third generation. This is their third change. Aluminum milled housing. Before, their computers were a plastic and they're creaky and stuff like that. This aluminum milled chassis and the new memory modules, this LPC or LCP, I think it's called LCP memory modules, which have these pressure fit memory. This is what the industry's been dealing with to get the performative married memory. It has to be much closer to the CPU. And Apple and others have done this by just soldering it right next to the CPU. These new memory module is a way of being able to upgrade those memory modules. So we're going back to a system where we can buy a computer and then later upgrade the memory modules in it. keep in mind, you can start this computer at like $12.99. That's like the bare bones of it. When I was done with it, with the ports that I wanted and the expansions that I wanted, then it was at $2,000. And then I flip over to the Apple page and I look at what I can get for $2,000, and it does outclass the computer. But here's what's exciting about this. I mean, because this is aluminum milled. This is the first time they have a touch screen available. Can't get that on a Macintosh. The componentization of the speakers, the motherboard, the keyboard, the trackpad, everything is replaceable and upgradable. As they go forward with the 13 Pro line, they will make better speakers. They'll make more improved motherboards that can be replaced into this chassis. And so you're never needing the full computer again. You're only needing whatever that upgrade is that you're missing, that's stopping you from going forward. And to that extent, all these parts that are new, the memory modules, the motherboard, the speakers, the touchscreen, can be purchased to upgrade your previous 2 generations of their laptop 13. So you bought that creaky plastic laptop before and you don't mind the plastic, you can now put a touch screen on it where you couldn't before. You want the latest. This is the other thing that's very impressive. It's the latest release of Intel chips, which questionable how much you want to call that Intel or not, but they're getting 20-hour battery life out of this motherboard. Yes, absolutely.
Manufacturers.
Well, it's a process of manufacturing that is focused on customers' repairability.
And if you take care of the customer,
that's what they're betting on. Yeah, that absolutely. I don't think they're making money yet. They're going towards an IPO or thank you, an IPO. For a moment there, I ordered a beer. I think they're going for an IPO. They have investor capital that is from people that are in the repair it yourself movement. So like Linus from Linus Tech Tips is one of the biggest investors in their organization. But it's proving itself. It has, and this latest computer, I mean, when you look at that $2,000 spent on a Mac that will not upgrade, so you get 4 years, 5 years down the line, and you're missing that one thing that would make the computer. You got to go buy, and that's their business model is making it clear we've got great new shit, and the only way to get it is to buy our great new shit. This is, it's a real consideration. If you were going for a Mac Pro right now, if you were that customer, I would have you look at this framework with that 4-year, 5-year argument in mind, only because they've proven themselves. This new motherboard goes right in that 3-year-old computer, right? Every part that they have available for that 3-year-old computer. If you upgrade this motherboard and that processor, your computer has gone from 8 hours of battery life to 20 hours of battery life just by changing that one board. This is a movement. This is what we should be encouraging in our markets. So I am. Oh, and one of the most unique things that they, outside of computers, they've got a desktop computer as well. It's a mini ATX. It's got its own way of doing things. They sold for a while a desktop enclosure. So if you bought a new computer and you didn't know what to do with your framework because it's gotten old, then you could take your motherboard from your old framework laptop and turn it in, or that's what it was. If you upgraded your motherboard and your framework computer, you could put this enclosure in a desktop enclosure so that you could have another computer. You wouldn't have to buy all those other components. You could just put the motherboard in this enclosure. Anyway, one of the interesting things that they announced in this, and this is a video presentation, so it's easy to watch, is a home theater keyboard. So they have designed the home theater keyboard. They use the example of that Logitech keyboard that so many of us have, that
K400.
the K400, right? Because it's $40, right? It's
K400 plus.
yeah, it's $400. It's got the trackpad right there. The keys suck. You wouldn't want to do any real work on it. The trackpad is okay. It's an analog trackpad, nothing really special about it. But it's $40, and you put it in your living room, and you can control your smart device, your computer, your TV. I like the K800, which they discontinued. Or is it the 840? I think it's the 840, because it has a backlight. And I was willing to pay for that, but apparently not enough people
But
were.
it didn't have the touchpad.
It had the touchpad.
Did it?
Yeah, it has. I have 3 of them in my life. Yeah, it has the touchpad. It has the back. I've bought them now vintage because I like them so much. You can plug them into. They have rechargeable batteries in them. They have a backlit keyboard. But most of the market went for the $40 keyboard. They didn't go for the $80 keyboard.
It was 20 then.
What you're talking about? No.
400 plus. Yeah, I think it was.
They were then they were
I
on.
bought it for 29 2 days ago.
Okay, well, they're $30 now, but I think of them as $40 keyboards. Regardless, they have announced this quirky product that is their keyboard from their laptops. So it's the exact same keyboard part that they use in their laptops. It's the same trackpad part that they use in their laptops, with a keyboard frame with mechanical keys. And so this is also like an $80 keyboard, but it's all serviceable. All of it can be upgraded as they go forward. And the idea is that they want that living room market.
Now, will it work on, say, your laptop?
Oh, the beauty of this keyboard is it's got something like 4 different Bluetooth inputs. So it's got a switch on it, so you can switch between your laptop, your tablet, your phone.
No, but I mean a regular, your HP. Will it work on your HP?
Well, it's a Bluetooth keyboard.
Okay, so it will.
So yeah, it's got 4 different Bluetooths. I think it was 4 different Bluetooths it's got with a push button. So it'll act as a keyboard mouse switcher. And it supports USB-C, so you can connect it with a cable if you want to. And if I remember right, it is rechargeable. It uses rechargeable batteries, so you can charge it with the USB-C. Anyway, I find Framework to be a very intriguing company, and I hope that at the very least, their design aesthetics permeate parts of the market that it wasn't before. We have been watching as the Neo has taken storm in this marketplace. If you take the Macintosh Neo, a $600 Macintosh, and pit it up against any $600 Windows computer, it is pitiful. It just blows it away. The Apple has reshaped that part of the market. And this Framework is reshaping the way we think about how these products should be designed, built, and sold. If you look at the Neo, the teardown on it feels like Framework. There is no glue. There's only screws. It's Apple, so there's an astronomical number of screws, but everything in it is compartmentalized into pieces that can be easily replaced. Because of California law, they have to. They have to. And Framework is way ahead of this game. And if what Apple's done to this low tier market, this $600 marketplace, and what Framework's done to the high end, we could be looking at completely different kinds of products over the next few years. Ones that we aren't concerned about buying anything but a component to upgrade it again. Moving back away from this disposable product kind of paradigm that we've been tracked on. We've been stuck on that track. So I totally encourage you guys to take a look at Framework's announcement and the products they have available. It is very impressive. It is a different price point. It is not the cheapest price point, but I think that with this latest release, you got to compare this stuff to what Apple's doing. We've been digging in hard to things I've brought, but I haven't seen anybody pop up a hand or ask a question. If anybody's got their own topics, please feel free to share them with me. I'll just keep moving through my list of stuff unless somebody's got something they wanted to talk about specifically. We've talked a bit about Apple. Hey, Ask Jeeves. Did you guys see it shut down? I thought this would be Ask Jeeves, ask.com.
Oh,
I thought this would be a topic you guys would resonate with you guys.
That goes back to the 90s.
Right? Ask Jeeves. Who knew it was still around, actually, or paid any real attention to it? They're shutting down as of May 1st. They are shut down. They had a good run, but they couldn't compete when Google. They fell apart at the same time Yahoo was falling apart. But apparently, they continued to maintain business all the way up until now. Their chat interface was more like direct questions, direct answers. I don't know if you guys remember that, but you could ask. It was one of the first that you could ask a direct question to. Of course, that technology worked because there was some human on the other side answering direct questions. And so what it was an inventory of direct questions as well as web spider botted stuff. So that when you would ask a direct question that it didn't have a direct answer for it, some human had never written a direct answer, then you'd end up with search results of places where you might get a direct answer. But it never got the kind of traction that it needed to stay in business. So yeah, I think it lasted 25 years.
Now AI, the 2026
of Ask. Yeah, in fact, there's a lot of people out there saying they were just ahead of their time. Their front end interface was exactly what we're at right now. It's too bad they didn't make a pivot into AI soon enough to take advantage of what's happening here. Yeah. Well, we were on different paths for AI. It's just
that was like my grandparents as teenagers.
Well, if you think of the path of what we were doing too, the technology was so rude. Think Clippy. even the very first Amazon Echoes, that was some very rudimentary stuff that was going on. And then later we found out supplemented with human labor.
For most of it, all of us remember
Dial-up connections, yeah. Yeah.
56K, you were
Actually, around here, I was here as 56K dial-up was hitting. And I had customers that would hire two Telmex lines and run dual modems on the same system so that they could add that bandwidth. You used to do that?
in Pacifica, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to have customers up on the Caracol that would spend that kind of money so that they could have faster internet available to them. I just heard a beep. Someone's trying to get in. Hey, Richard's here. Good morning, Richard.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias. You're a little late to the game. We've been.
You better believe it, and I apologize.
We've gone through a few topics here, but we're also lacked for individual topics. Do you bring anything particular you'd like to talk about?
Oh gosh, no. No,
I did talk a little bit about the copy fail thing. You were telling me you were having problems doing updates.
Yes, and I think that is past, but I've been busy doing other things. But I did some Linux updating things on a couple of virtual machines, and it didn't see. They're all Ubuntu based, and it didn't seem to be miserable like it has been for the last 3 or 4 days. basically since last Friday.
And it's miserable because of traffic and DDoS, right? It's like everybody needs the patch, and then there's this denial of service attack that's going on at the exact same time.
I'm not, yeah, and I'm not even sure exactly the sequence of how it works, but it was a couple of different things that you had the copy fail thing, and everybody and the bad disclosure, abrupt disclosure.
Yeah.
And then a DDoS attack. Maybe late, maybe linked, maybe not, who knows? But, it must have been a horrible weekend in, at Ubuntu headquarters.
Yeah, in the Ubuntu lineage of Ubuntu is the basis for so many different distributions out there. I was surprised because Zorin is a distribution of Ubuntu, but I didn't seem to be plagued with any problems. I didn't even realize anything was going on. You run some distributions.
I was kind of amazed when you discovered that.
Kubuntu,
Yeah,
is what Jim's running. And you did you have any issues over the weekend you were concerned
I
about?
haven't turned it on over the weekend.
Oh, that's right. You've been gone. That's right.
Well, I was back, but I haven't been upstairs to turn it on.
Oh, okay. Well, and then Richard, we were talking yesterday, and you made the point that Arch. I use Catchy OS on another computer, which is sitting on a shelf, not turned on, but that's not even a Ubuntu distribution. So if you're using Arch or one of those, I imagine Fedora's in that group that wasn't suffering from that as well.
I just decided to weather the storm and not sweat it. And so I'm not sure exactly what the lists were. Once I realized I was on the list, I kind of lost interest.
Well, you know what's funny is about how, this is such like small stakes, bigger than they've ever been before. As far as the desktop goes, actually, I don't know what Ubuntu's distribution is in small devices. Do you have any inkling, Richard?
No, I don't.
Jim?
I don't know what the exact numbers are.
Ubuntu, the distro in small devices like routers and smart TVs, and I don't normally think of that as being the Linux distro in devices, but that would be the real threat right now. Yeah, well, I don't even think they have even a light version that, for a while there was a light version of Windows 11 and Windows 10 you could put in a Raspberry Pi that didn't have I'm not even aware of anything like that for Ubuntu. Those are all different distros. But that, to me, I think would be the fear you'd have of one of these threats, this copy fail vulnerability, if it were to plague multiple small devices. That would be a real concern, because you'd be concerned about your smart lights and your smart TV. I was just listening to a security podcast. They were talking about one security's company's. This is really dumb. One security's company's vulnerability. They had been hacked into because of a smart TV that they used in their conference room to display status progress. This is security developers making software. Right? Their competition hacked into their smart display. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, that's wonderful.
So this would be a concern, I think, if this was one of the Linux, and forgive me, I'm not an expert in any of I'm a jack of all trades. The Linux distribution most common for small devices. Can somebody Google that real quick? Is it Debian? Is it? I don't know what it would be. But if it was that Linux that was the concern, what do you got? Oh, Jim's done it. What is the?
That's the latest version of Ubuntu.
Lubuntu and
It's the one
Xubuntu.
he uses.
Yeah, and both of those are desktop distributions. They're not Internet
Right.
of Things distributions, and that's really what we would be concerned about. You'd also think of those as getting the least amount of updates or attention because that's been the norm. The norm is that the light that can change on and off with the push of a button on your phone doesn't get a lot of attention from security experts. Or it does, but not in a good way. And so if that was the Linux distribution suffering from copy fail, then I think we might be a bit more concerned, because that would mean that taking over anything would be much more predominant. In this case, this is almost like poking fun at Linux after successive failures of updates from Windows to fix their own problem.
Here, Scott, this is sick. This is the best embedded Linux distributions for IoT devices in 2024.
Okay,
And if anybody
I'll add this to our
can
document.
learn,
What?
yeah, I was looking for that stat.
Okay, well, if you find it, yeah, this is more like a guideline for people that want to make Internet of Things devices. What Linux you should be using, right? This is the recommendation.
You're absolutely correct. I've failed.
Yeah, but reading between the lines, this is telling you what you should be looking for and where things fail. Linux is all over the place. In fact, I've watched recently just some great videos that call Microsoft to the mat. I mean, just saying that Microsoft is lost because Linux is everywhere. And they rehash back to Steve Ballmer calling Linux a cancer that takes away from, it sucks good things from IP. And we've ended up with Linux covertly everywhere. And so the idea that there is a Linux virus out there or a Linux compromise that's out there, no matter how hard it is to be implemented, I could see Microsoft as just being very happy to see that kind of news out there.
Yeah, they're picking on somebody else for a change.
That's right. Because least us forget the last 4 updates from Microsoft was solving their own problems. They broke things as they were trying to fix things. They made themselves more vulnerable as they were trying to make themselves less vulnerable. And the last one was to try and make their customers happy as they've compromised all their privacy. They started putting in features that people have been asking for since Windows 11 hit the market. They're not all turned on yet either. They started turning off things that were their corporate customers were bitching should not be on in the first place.
Yeah, there's an uninstall routine for Copilot now.
You've got people like myself and Richard evangelizing it's time to move to a Linux distribution because of the way Microsoft is treating what they call their customers.
They're guinea pigs.
Yeah, well, we've always called them guinea pigs, haven't we? But yes, they are not concerned about you. They're concerned about their profits, and it's become very obvious in their actions recently. And Richard's a good one to evangelize Linux over Microsoft in that respect. Take it away, Richard. No, I'm kidding.
No, but, modern Linux, obviously change is always disconcerting, and I go to an interface and it doesn't look exactly like what I was expecting. Oh, boo-hoo. But this thing is free and it comes in a bewildering array of flavors, right? And it's not spying on you.
And it's not spying on you.
runs on any computer manufactured in the last, 10 or probably more years. So who cares about the hardware spec? I mean, I think that's very attractive.
No, I agree, and I think that in this moment, one of the big players in these days, I mean, we're talking about personal computers, and we're talking about them at laptop and the real personal computers in your pocket, and it's got its own set of privacy and security issues. That's a whole that ends up having to be a different discussion because of the nature of what it is. But we're talking about you using your personal computer that's a laptop or a desktop in your house, and in this moment, are you going to run an operating system that could at any moment have an AI in your computer rifling through your stuff at the bequest of whoever's in charge not being you? And that's the point. It's not you. You're not the one in charge.
And you don't have to go further than that. All of the discussions about, it's responsible, as things will be used responsibly. No, it's not you.
It's not.
That's the end of it. That's a fundamental bridge to cross. That's a fundamental distinction.
It was an argument up till Windows 10. Maybe you like Windows, maybe you depend on Windows, but in Windows 11 they started forcing you to identify with Microsoft every time you set up the computer. Outside of that, you're setting it up wrong. Outside of getting a Microsoft account, to set up the computer, to identify your computer every time it's being used as being you using it, you are setting up Windows 11 incorrectly in their terms of service. You have used some sleight of hand to get around it. And their goal as a business is to always be trying to make that connection between your activities and your person. And in that respect, you are not in control of your device, the device you paid for, the way you choose to do it. And this age, the age verification thing is only the most recent version of you do not have control over your computer. You are not the one that's in control. I see our timer on this meeting is counting down. We've got 2 more minutes. I'm going to open up the next meet. So anyone that's interested has a place to funnel into. If anybody online or here has a comment to make, please feel free. I don't mean
your thing on Windows 11 Lite. They
Oh.
still make it.
They still make it?
Yeah.
But do they make it for the Raspberry Pi? I don't think they do.
They talked about Raspberry. I just skimmed it real quick.
Yeah.
But I sent it to you.
Okay.
Article.
I'll take a look at it. I'll take a look at it. Well, that's going to happen, right?
It already has.
Yeah.
Autonomous trucking startup Bot Auto says it has delivered its fully humanless over-the-road commercial truckload from Texas, parking in 13 miles, trucking in 230-mile run. Pilot or big commercial loading.
Hey, TJ, can you get slightly closer to your microphone there? I'm afraid people aren't hearing what you're saying.
Sure.
We're talking about anonymous trucks right now. Autonomous trucks, not anonymous trucks. Autonomous trucks. We're trucks that don't even know themselves. Go ahead.
Autonomous trucking startup Bot Auto says it has delivered its first fully humanless over-the-road commercial truckload. Texas, marking another key milestone for the American trucking industry. The 230-mile run between Dallas was not a pilot or demonstration. It was a paid commercial delivery directly to customers' loading dock. A number of AV companies testing driverless trucks in Texas with the aim of improving safety, efficiency, addressing a truck shortage. However, this one did not have a safety pilot or driver.
Oh, wow. So completely autonomous. Like they're just a hair away from designing it without a driver's seat.
Right. So a gated, for example,
wait, TJ, and you would know either from reading or from experience, it went to the yard Did a driver take over at that point?
Doesn't say.
Okay. Well, what would you think from your? I mean, my inclination would be, yeah, they'd have
I
to.
would say that a driver back the load. In fact,
You know, I saw a while back, years ago, somebody trying to sell this idea of these electric autonomous wheel attachments for the shipping containers. And essentially, you would take it off the boat, you drop it on these wheels, and that would take it to where it's supposed to go. It just feels like we're so close to this kind of. I could imagine a truck, as you're describing, TJ, driving itself to the lot, and then a traditional truck hooking up to. I mean, it wasn't a truck. It was just the box, and a traditional truck hooks up to it and parks it where it needs to go. There is a bot that is used in Japan for parking cars. I think somebody brought it to Computer Club a few weeks back, where the bot. See, Jim's walking out of here.
Yeah.
Are you here next week?
Yes.
Next week. Last in-person meeting until October is next week.
Which is the last one?
Last one in person.
And Christine's in New Mexico.
Okay. Will she be back next week? No, she's already back.
Next year,
Oh, okay.
when you return.
Next season. All right, Jim. See ya. Yeah, they had a parking lot. It was a parking tower, Japan. They had a parking tower. And this bot would come and lift up your car, and it would drive it to a parking spot.
And happy Cinco de Mayo to all you guys.
Hey, thanks for mentioning. I forgot to mention your shirt too. The Three Amigos, salt, tequila, and lime. Happy Cinco de Mayo, you guys. See you, Jim. All right, let's see. The only other topics that I've got are some AI topics we've talked about in the past. I've just left them here for convenience for you to go through when you want. And this new water-based battery. I like to bring battery topics to the Computer Club. I like the technology. I think batteries are our future. And the idea is to make them less corrosive, less dangerous to the environment, and more reusable, more recyclable. I don't think that I think that one of the things that, and this is all me, in my opinion, I'm sure a lot of people share it. One of the reasons that we want to pursue electric vehicles, electric power, is because it's malleable. We can make electricity out of so many different resources that if we center on electricity, then as things improve in the production of electricity, we can change that thing while still driving whatever technology we're driving. So solar, wind, water, whatever it might be. And batteries have to play an important part in that plan. We cannot have an ability to, we need to be able to store electricity. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not saying anything nobody else, everybody knows this. This is the only way it works, is by it's the reason gasoline's been so popular, is the ability to store a resource, store an energy resource. That being said, there is a technology that has been explored many times in the past and is being re-explored right now called iron flow batteries. I'd never heard of this before. But apparently, it is a way of using a water flow to recharge a battery, to charge it up, and then to dissipate that charge in times when there is no electricity. The problem with this process, this technology in the past, is that it would degrade very quickly. And so they didn't have a very long lifespan. But their latest experiments, and that's the headline, is that this kind of technology could last for 16 years. Also, this is a less corrosive, less environmental cost technology, both from the production standpoint and from the use standpoint. So That's what's interesting in that area. And if you have, I mean, this kind of interests, I encourage you to look at this article. Maybe what we're looking at, we've talked about in the past, gravity batteries and things of that nature. I think we're looking at here another one of those technologies that for you and me would end up being a half a dozen boxes sitting on the side of the road outside your development. And however electricity was produced, whether you got it off the grid or you got it off of solar panels on every house, or you got it off of windmills that are on the lot adjacent, these would charge up and would provide power to your cul-de-sac throughout the evening or whenever there wasn't electric producing. I think this is really where we're going with all this stuff, is that we will have areas that are powered. We won't have one big grid. We'll have thousands of mini grids that have a web-like presence with the rest of the world, probably similar to the way that we do internet right now, where the ability to provide electricity to another portion of the world is a relationship. I'm sorry, is somebody out there trying to say something?
I am.
Oh, Fred, what are you trying to say? Go ahead.
Well, unfortunately, with the way that we're going right now, you got to figure out how to put coal into your car, because we're getting rid of all the solar panels and the windmills. Windmills look bad around golf courses.
Right.
Spot on, Mr. Godfrey.
Yeah, well, and we are the highest petroleum producing nation in the world right now. So we got to be careful of that kind of thinking too. What is that? When you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail kind of mentality. When you produce all the oil, everything's a petroleum answer.
Well, I think when you look at the larger picture, we've just come to a unique answer to this question because everybody else is going to renewables.
Right.
Every single country, to one degree or another, you don't have the anti-renewable thing in most countries. That's not, so we're doing something very different and arguably very backward.
Yeah, it's almost like we've cornered the market on steam engines. But more horrific. I don't think steam was hurting us.
I don't know, but they've taken, projects that were almost complete.
I know.
And
80%, Fred.
And they've done that, and they've sat there. They sold a lease for a wind farm off of South Carolina.
Oh yeah.
And what they did is they bought the lease back from the company that they sold it to, and just have canned that whole thing.
I believe that was $1 billion, Mr. Godfrey.
I believe you're correct.
Yeah. Well,
and that thing was already in the works.
Hey, nothing about this discussion is mutually exclusive with the United States stumbling completely. I mean, everything you just said is absolutely true, and everybody's going to renewables, whether the United States likes it or not. One of the funniest dialogues I keep finding on the internet, and to some extent it's true, is the United States has never pushed forward a better reason to be moving quicker to renewables than blockading the Strait of Hormuz. What an incentive!
Exactly.
What an incentive for sovereign nations to find another way to power themselves. Definitely not from buying resources from us.
No, and not from buying resources that require clear shipping lanes.
In fact,
anywhere.
Why would you, think of yourself as a modern society, why would you build your resource infrastructure outside of your sovereign? I mean,
exactly.
Thanks for bringing up these questions by creating this ordeal. Never thought it was a problem till now.
Strictly from a pedagogical,
Mhm.
did I say that word right? Standpoint.
I'm not the right person to correct you on that, and I am
Well,
being facetious because
it is kind of a genius communication, because explaining it, right? Explaining these dependencies obviously wasn't working.
right.
So he created an illustration. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right. Like, but you're saying it like the same way that we say a broken clock is right twice. I mean, like, there's nothing in me that feels like any of that was planned. It's just serendipitously true. We're rushing towards renewables because of the situation.
That's exactly because he created an illustrative example.
Yeah, it's become absolutely clear.
For every president and every national security advisor and every secretary of state prior to the Donald, they looked at this, they looked at the downsides, they decided not to do it, not to go to war with Iran. Everybody.
Well, you know, when you put it like that, and we've digressed way out of computer topics at this point. But when you put it like that, I'm sorry, my mind just stumbled. I can't finish my thought. And we are kind of at the end of our meeting. Do we have any other? Fred, did you want to add something there before I start kind of taping this off?
Mr. Godfrey.
I just think next week you ought to get into the wonderful world of putting coal in cars to run them.
Putting coal in. You know, I saw a great video, if I remember, I'll bring it, of an old steam motorcycle. And you literally put wood in it. It was a wood-fed steam motor, smaller than a motorcycle.
How clever.
Loud.
If you want
turn of century technology. Not this century, last century.
If you want something interesting, look at the Pegasus system that they used on cars during World War II. They burnt wood in order to run cars.
Oh, that's
it's called the Pegasus system.
Oh man, you're educating me, Mr. Godfrey.
Me too.
Well, I try once in a while. I don't say much here, but you know what it was is they had a container and they burned the wood and then used what they burned as fuel.
Like they would vaporize the wood and use that as gas?
Yes.
That's wild. Yeah, that's a Google search.
Another thing is to take a look at is with cars now they can sit there and you can inject water into the car and increase the horsepower with that.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of that kind of stuff. I don't know about that, man. I think I need to see some more physics on that.
Well, go look at Pegasus system.
I will. That sounds really interesting. It reminds me when I first got here, a friend of mine had turned me onto a vehicle to drive. It was a Ford 454 pickup truck. So you would drive it down the main road and you'd watch the gas needle just go down. And so I had it converted to propane, and it was similar in theory. You would inject propane gas into the carburetor instead of gas from the gas tank, which was a really common thing around here. When I got here, a lot of vehicles were running on propane. But wood, especially vaporized wood, that's really interesting.
Yeah, wood and coal.
Wood and coal, yeah. No, I'm going to have to do a Google search on that. Well, there is nothing more on my document that I sent out. I mean, just some stuff that I like people to have access to. I've left a number of articles from Zitron that Richard has recommended because they are long, deep reads into enshittification and this AI bubble that we're in. And so I encourage you, if you're looking for something to read, those are great things. In our recommendations, I've left, of course, a link to our YouTube channel and websites that I think people should check out, as well as under books. We've got TJ's books there that are available for download from Amazon. And the smartphones for dummies, I plan to return to this topic at some point in the future. So anything that you think of as a phone topic, I'd be happy to have and add to it. So I try to keep this document relevant, but up to date. So I can't tell you when I might pull some of this stuff off, but some of this stuff has been here for a while. Who knows? Maybe next week it'll be blank with brand new stuff. Anyway, other than that, do I have any recommendations? Does anybody that I'm talking to care about recommendations? Because if not, we're going to call this meeting to an end.
Hasta luego.
All right, Richard. I'll probably see you later in this week.
Okay. Have a good one. Enjoy. I'll look for you next week.
We'll look for you next week. Adios. I think TJ is saying adios with his eyes. Until next Tuesday, tech on.
Tech on.
All right. That was everybody. And now it's just me. Drone pizza delivery.
Ready?
What do you got?
Little Caesars launches drone delivery.
No.
Little Caesars launched a drone delivered pilot in Wylie, Texas. Friday delivered 200 feet. Customers 4-mile buses. Providing a hot pizza.
Wow. Where is this started?
Wylie, Texas.
Wylie. I like the name of that town. It sounds like the kind of place they would get.
Wylie, Texas.
They must have some really lax, air regulations.
Northeast of DFW.
DFW?
That was Fort Worth.
Oh, okay. Well, that's it. They must have gotten some kind of permission to use that airspace like that. It's
200 feet.
Yeah, but we can't have pizzas flying through the air. Domino's, Pizza Hut, Little Caesar, it's all racing to destiny. Could you imagine like a New Year's Eve party?
You'll have a competitor sending up drones just to knock down
Right.
the drone.
Yeah, well, they probably wouldn't have to do it intentionally. I mean, like the New Year, like a Super Bowl party, right?
Yeah.
You got like 20 pies going to the same house. It's like an Armageddon. It's an armada of pizzas.
I just provide you.
Well, shoot me that. Well, I'm gonna Google that. Like that's pretty funny. Pizza delivery. You know what that reminds me of is Kentucky Fried Chicken put out a desktop computer one year. Yeah, it had a heat bucket on it, so you keep your chicken hot. Yeah.
When we worked in Iraq, we had
Oh yeah.
Kuwaiti fried camel.
Kuwaiti fried camel. And on that note, I am shutting down this recording until next Tuesday. Everyone, tech on.